What's up everybody, Ross Thomas here from the Brotographer, and recently I've been getting really into lighting and what it can do for my fitness studio. So the two main brands that I love using are Aperture and Lupo. Now Aperture has taken over the game in terms of like content creation. They are all over social media, but Lupo is a little bit of a different company. Not recently, a little while ago, I actually did some stuff with their Daylid 2000 and their Superpanel 30, but this one has RGBW controls. You can use it to control any color in the spectrum, but it's also variable color temperature, so you can still use it in your interviews for a hair light, main light, and this one they sent out actually has the soft panel as well, so I don't even diffuse it. But another really cool thing about this light is it's DMX controlled. So I actually, with their Daylid 2000, set up some backlights in my fitness studio for a recent shoot we did. We're redoing all of our marketing in the fitness studio, and these lights, the Fresnels, were super powerful, so I was able to control it via DMX so I could put them up in the ceiling and control it via the lighting board. Now the Superpanel 30 RGB also has DMX control. So I'm gonna stick it up in the ceiling after we're actually done shooting this video and see what I can get in terms of mood. So the Superpanel 30 RGBW, like I said, has DMX control. You can control the color temperature, but also has some of those cool lighting effects that a lot of the new RGB lights, the LED RGB lights coming out have. You got cop car, your lightning, all that stuff that most of the typical RGB lights have. In terms of the amount of light it's going to be able to throw out, it's pretty much similar to the original Superpanel. Now the Superpanel Full Color, this one right here, is just as good, and I'm super confident with it. They also sell like V-mount battery pack plates, so you don't have to plug it in. Currently I have it set up to be a hair light for one of my videos. I'll show a little bit of that footage right here. We did a little interview in our Pilates studio with one of our instructors, and as you can see, it throws out way more than enough light. It is relatively heavy, it's around 8 pounds, but with one of those Manfrotto super clamps and those magic arms, it's gonna stay right where it's supposed to, so don't worry about that. But the purposes that I'm really going to use this for are DMX control, being able to control light output coming straight down in my studio, using it for purposes like the interview, like I just showed you right there, but also being able to control those colors, which is a really cool option. So I really do not want to bore you with specs and stuff like that, but I do want to show you some of the features that the Superpanel Full Color 30 offers. Now it's got this really intuitive, easy to read display in the back. You've got the fan right here, which is honestly not loud at all, and I can barely hear it even when I get my head up there. So that's a really nice feature. Some of these lights that have to power really powerful lights, the fans just gotta be really loud to dissipate all that heat. Anyways, you've got the intensity over here on the left, and I'm at 7% now. And I'm all the way up to 100, super bright. You can actually control the green tint that you add or take away from the light, which is really cool. Some other lights out there in the marketplace can be a little bit tinted when they're LEDs. They can move a little bit green or magenta, and you can actually get rid of or add that to these lights, which is pretty sweet. That's this one right here. And then you've got the color temperature. I think it's 2700 all the way up to 10,000, which is pretty crazy. So we're pretty warm there. And essentially pure white moving into like the blue spectrum here. So the menu is really easy. Now, keep in mind there's a difference between RGB and RGBW. With RGBW, you're gonna be manually controlling the red, green, and blue, and I kind of don't prefer to do it that way. But right now it's in CCT mode. I almost said CCTV, but CCT. Anyways, we've got HSI mode. That is my preferred way of doing things when I'm controlling the color manually, at least. So if I pop in there and hit OK, it's on. Now we'll go back, and now as you can see, let me turn up a little bit. We can control basically every color of the spectrum. Now this green little knob right here actually controls the saturation. So as you can see, this color gets way more saturated. So we have all the way red, greens, blues, yellows, purples, back to red. But basically you can go to any color in the spectrum that is useful, your pinks, whatevers, and then you can just turn it up or down. So that's really useful. Back into the menu now. Back into our manual options, we're in HSI mode. The RGB mode, again, which is the mode that you can control all those colors manually. I really don't do that. They've got a preset mode and effects mode like we talked about earlier with a whole bunch of the effects. We're gonna hit back. Now for DMX options, it's really easy. You just turn it to DMX operation on, plug it into your board, and then you can actually control the color temperature, the intensity, and the RGB, like the HSI mode, so you can like cycle through all the colors and all that stuff. So it's really easy to work with. So this is a $1,600 light, and that is not inexpensive. I think this light is for someone who has graduated to a more professional look and absolutely knows what they want out of a light. A ton of LEDs are on the market. A lot of stuff is moving into the RGB range, but a lot of those cool LED lights that can do RGB are very small and don't have a lot of power output as well. So one of the cons is basically, if you don't know what you want, this light's going to be very expensive. So let's go into the pros and who this light is basically for. Aside from the $1,600 price range, I've got a lot of pros and a lot of reasons that I like using this light. Number one is I don't have to diffuse it. A lot of the Bowens mounts are amazing and you can change out the modifiers, but if you do know what you want, this panel right here is already diffused. So you can get it up high and you don't have to throw a separate modifier on it, and it actually makes the footprint really small. This is a 1x1 panel. The second thing is the power output. This thing is an absolute beast when it comes to power output. It's as bright as my 120Ds, and once again, I don't have to modify it. Now I am being modified by those giant light domes by Aperture right now, but in my personal use and experience, this is for a little bit punchier light, hair light, a light that you can back up when you're doing some production, and I've used it in that way. But it's really nice to have this little like soft panel on top of these LEDs right here, so I don't have to use another softbox and give it further diffusion. The next thing, and one of the big pros, is the ease of use on the back here, and also that it's DMX controlled. I'm able to get it into a lighting board. So I'm able to get this light really high and far away from me and then control it via the board. You could say that it's a pro, that it doesn't have like remote control, wireless control to it, but that wireless control would have to be pretty complex to cycle through all those options, and it'd probably up the price even more with this light. So having it be DMX controlled is just fine for me. If I'm not using DMX, then obviously I'm in a place where I can get to it and change it. But when I am using manual controls, this control panel on the back is really intuitive and it's really easy to use. Another pro of this light is that it can be controlled via V-mount batteries. I've got a large V-mount battery that I use from B&H, and it easily controls this light for a good long while. So those are some of the pros and cons, kind of my first impressions having used this light for several weeks now here at the studio. I will be showing you more behind the scenes on my Instagram channel, so go ahead and check that out, _Brotographer over at Instagram, where you can see more stuff that we've used this with. If you've got any questions, please put them down in the description below, and I will answer each and every one of them to the best of my ability. Anyways, once again, thank you, Lupo, for sending this light out. They didn't ask me, and they never asked me to do anything special with these lights. They just want me to use them and show them off and kind of just see what they can do. So thank you for sending this out to me. I really appreciate it, as I always do, and I'm looking forward to more Lupo gear in the future. I'm Ross Thomas for the Brotographer. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure and subscribe, like this video, and hit that little notification bell so you get all my updates. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.